Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So today, certain recipients of Social Security will be receiving their checks worth all the way up to $5,108. Plus, we're inching all that much closer to when the next increase for all Social Security beneficiaries will be. So in today's video, we're going to be covering everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you really just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into for today. So of course we are inching all that much closer to when the next Social Security COLA increase announcement will be taking place. Originally, that was actually supposed to be announced today on October 15th, but because the government is still shut down, yes, Republicans and Democrats are not able to reach a deal for either short-term or long-term funding. Unfortunately, that also means a delay for whenever the Bureau of Labor Statistics is able to compile all the inflation numbers for the month of September and release those today on October 15th. So once again, originally today we were supposed to know what the COLA increase was going to be. We were supposed to have all those inflation numbers released, but because of course we had the government shutdown, that also caused a delay in those numbers being released. Now thankfully, we do have a date now in which we know for sure when the inflation numbers for September will be released, and therefore we'll also know what the cost of living adjustment is going to be for 2026. That date, of course, is going to be on October 24th, so coming up in just 9 days. So according to AP News, the ongoing government shutdown is delaying the announcement of the annual Social Security cost of living adjustment for tens of millions of beneficiaries. Originally scheduled for Wednesday, the 2024 Social Security COLA announcement will now be October 24th. It is timed to be the September Consumer Price Index, which also has not yet been released. The agency adjusts its benefits every year based on inflation, and the postponement of the announcement is the most recent example of how the government shutdown, entering its third week and with little progress made towards a resolution, has made it more difficult for people to plan out their finances. Projections by the Senior Citizens League and the AARP anticipate a COLA increase of roughly 2.7%, about 70.6 million people, including retirees, disabled people, and children, get Social Security benefits. So even though we have not yet had an official announcement, and we won't have an official announcement for what the next COLA increase is going to be until October 24th, we already have a really good idea just based on estimates from various people, various organizations, and right now we have an estimate of either 2.7 or 2.8%. Sure, it could be a little bit lower, and sure, it could be a little bit higher. So maybe 2.6% at the very lowest, maybe 2.9% at the very highest, but more than likely, we're looking at either 2.7% or 2.8%. Again, this is going to be based on how high or how low inflation was for the month of September. Now, they go on here to say that Social Security Administration beneficiaries have voiced concerns that next year's increase will not be enough to counter rising costs. So for example, Sue Conrad, a 75-year-old retired nurse from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and SSA recipient, recently traveled to the U.S. Capitol with other retiree members of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Union to lobby for meaningful progress towards gaining health care protections to end the shutdown, as well as changes to Social Security benefits. So she said that she wants lawmakers to change the calculation on how the COLA is determined, since the standard CPI gauge, which includes a market basket of consumer goods and services, does not take into account many costs typical for older Americans. She said, quote, "The issue of how the COLA is determined is flat out wrong because healthcare is not factored into the CPI," said Conrad, speaking on the front steps of the Longworth House office building. Now, some lawmakers have proposed legislation that would make SSA use a different index called the Consumer Price Index for the Elderly, or CPIE for short, to calculate the cost of living increase. It measures price changes based on the spending patterns of older people on things such as healthcare, food, and medicine. So yes, that is definitely something that should be considered. And also on top of that, the Senior Citizens League is actually proposing their own metric called the CPI Best, where they would be taking the CPIW, they'd be taking the CPIE, and then they'd be taking the CPI Best, which is 3%. So there'd be a guaranteed floor, a guaranteed minimum cost of living adjustment increase every single year of at least 3%. Now, in years the CPIW or the CPIE is higher than 3%, in that case, it would take whatever number was higher. So, for example, if the CPIW was 3.5%, the CPIE was 3.6%, and the CPI Best was 3%, in that case, it'd be taking the 3.6% number, and that would be the cost of living adjustment. Now, they go on here to say that a collection of Democratic lawmakers have proposed legislation to change the CPI calculation for COLA benefits to the CPIE. So last session, Senator Bob Casey proposed a law that would change the COLA calculation, but that never got a hearing in the Senate Finance Committee. AARP CEO Maisha Minter-Jordan said the COLA is not just a source of income. It's a lifeline of independence and dignity for tens of millions of older Americans. But even with an adjusted COLA, a majority of Americans still face challenges covering basic expenses. Vanessa Fields, a 70-year-old former social worker and AFS CME member from Philadelphia, says she pays roughly $1,000 per month for groceries, more than in previous years. The COLA doesn't keep up with rising costs, she said, and we're going to be in bad shape if lawmakers don't act. And people have really been noticing this over the past few years. Inflation just seems to keep rising. The same things that we were able to buy back in 2020 to put up in our grocery cart, we were able to fill our grocery carts nearly pretty much all the way full. And then just a couple of years later, 2022, 2023, 2024, we're noticing just half of our grocery cart was costing the same as a couple of years before, or even more than that. So we're buying less, we're getting less goods and things in our cart, but we're paying more and more for them. This is a big, big problem. So hopefully we can figure out this cost of living adjustment thing, make it so it's actually keeping up with inflation. And let's hope also we can get inflation under control so we can actually get a good bang for our buck and not just, pay, hundreds of dollars every single week and barely be able to fill up our grocery cart. Leave your thoughts and comments below about that. Now, in other news, of course, today the Social Security Administration is going to be sending out checks to certain recipients of Social Security. These checks are going to be worth all the way up to $5,108 at the max, and on average, right around $2,000. So according to Newsweek, for most retirees, payment dates are based on their birth date. However, there are a few exceptions. People who started receiving retirement, spousal, or survivor benefits before May of 1997, or who also receive SSI, follow a separate payment schedule. SSI is a federal program that offers monthly support to low-income individuals over 65, as well as those who are blind or disabled. So this week, payments will be made on Wednesday, October 15th, to all those with a birthday between the 11th and 20th of any given month. And then as far as how much Social Security goes, again, benefit amounts vary based on a person's lifetime earnings and the age they choose to start collecting payments. Someone who begins claiming at the age of 62, for example, the earliest possible age, may receive up to $2,831 per month. Claiming that the full retirement age, which is 67, increases the potential maximum to $4,018 a month. And then finally, the largest possible payment of $5,108 per month is only available to those who wait all the way until the age of 70 to file. And as of August 2025, the average monthly Social Security benefit for retired workers was $2,008.31, which once again in 2026 is going to be increasing to above $2,050 per month with that cost of living adjustment, which once again is right now projected to be anywhere between 2.7 to 2.8%. But with that said, that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it, and I will see you in the next one.